Whoa, that's a lot of nuts!
Hello, wife. Hello.
Good
How
to
you
see
doing, Magda?
you.
Yeah, it's funny, right? It's whimsical. It's funny, right?
We should wait until we have movie with like Jason or somebody who's really deformed, and we should just talk like that through the whole review.
Well, gee whiz, not only are we not doing a review, but that kind of ties into the whole themes of this film that we just watched. Not only the original, which is in German, and the remake that the same director, shot for shot, beat for beat, but just with different actors and a couple of different changes, did 10 years later. We're talking about Funny Games.
Funny games.
All right. So this when yeah, it kind of proves a whole lot of things. We're not going to do a review. Let's just chat about some stuff. So yeah, it kind of shows us one thing, and that is that comedy and what is or isn't funny is subjective. So did you think that this was funny?
No, I absolutely didn't think it was funny. It was terrible and tragic what they were doing. Obviously, they had a lot of fun with it, but because they were disturbed. But it's just no, 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 no. It was horrific for especially for that family. You know.
I kind of find I found some of the stuff funny. I do have a little bit of a
No,
twisted
you
mind.
didn't.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Well, what was funny? The brains on the TV, or
Well, okay, right. We going there. I was like, might as well. Well, the way that they decided, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I was like, well, anybody who's played that little childish game knows that the one you start with, that one automatically is safe
mm-hmm.
because it's just a basic numbers game. They use that in Squid Game as well, like with the marble game. It's like the person who starts first automatically loses, but eeny, meeny, miny, mo, the person who starts with eeny, that person is safe just because of the syllable, the number game, the repetition of it, and what it ends up on.
That's what I thought. They were using a lot of like childhood games.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple, very like not sophisticated at all to play with them, let's say. Play
Yeah,
with
they were fucking around in that way. They did you also notice that they didn't always use their own names? Sometimes they called each other Tom and Jerry, like those old
Mhm.
Saturday morning cartoons.
Or fatty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Come on, Tubby. Stop
Yes.
calling me Tubby.
Yeah.
It was very childish, yet the things that they were doing were
Hmm.
not childish at all.
Not at all. Not at
But
all.
they didn't show any remorse for it either. They were just like, well, of course this has to happen. You have to like just like school playground rules. Like, and we're just talking about at surface level right now. It was school.
Mhm.
They treated the whole thing like school playground. You have to play by the rules. Is rule breaking allowed? No. So you need to go apologize. Manners maketh man. Like, yes,
Hmm.
that is from Kingsman, but he was really big on like, see, if you weren't so mean, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you apologize, oh, everything's gonna be fine. Doesn't matter that you just, killed somebody. So yeah, and then another scene that was pretty disturbing was when he went to a kitchen to fix himself a sandwich, and he heard a shot, and he knows somebody was gone, and there he is standing there asking like, "Hey, does anybody want anything to eat or something? Should I bring anything?" And making the sandwiches. There's some drama going on in the next room.
Well, yeah, he knows how the game plays out, and also it completely doesn't phase him.
Yeah, not at all.
Well, I guess we should go ahead and get into that right now.
Yeah.
Breaks the fourth wall quite a bit. And so now we're going past the surface level into deeper levels of what this film is trying to tell you.
Hmm.
The reason why the main character doesn't really give a crap that much, well, both of them really kind of don't, but especially the main character, and to your point, why it hits us as viewers so viscerally, but doesn't affect him at all, is because he already knows the way that it ends up.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I play by the rules. I know the rules. I know how this is going to, happen. And anything that goes on behind the scenes, i.e., off screen, that he doesn't witness with his own eyes, you're just like, all right, game's going along. It's all good. And then when when something does try to break the rules, when there's a glitch, what does he do? Huh? Also, he's late to his call out to his buddy. Like the gunshot has already happened before. He's just like, hold up. He's late to that, and he's like, well, where's the fucking remote? Where's the dadgum remote? Let me rewind this. All right, we're gonna replay this back because this wasn't in the script.
Yeah, and it's funny because I haven't realized what the fourth wall was, when they first mentioned it, until the whole remote and rewinding, scene. And I was like, okay, this is what they're talking about, then it kind of clicked. And then I realized, okay, there is no happy ending here. We know what's coming because it's pre-planned, let's say.
Sorry, you first. Go ahead.
No,
Because
no.
I have a question to ask you regarding that.
Go ahead. I'm done.
So did it take that point in your first watch through, or did it take multiple watch throughs for you to get what the fourth wall break was? Because multiple times earlier in the movie, they stop the scene. The main character stops the scene, turns and looks directly at you through the screen. It's like, we all know you're rooting for them.
So yeah, I noticed those things, but it didn't. I thought it was just the way it was shot, and it was the first. Actually, it was the first movie that I watched, which was the second Maid, which was this, the remake. So it, it kind of clicked for me during that first movie and the first watch, but not obviously not at first. So I did notice those little, points where he was speaking to us as an audience, or pointing things out, but it did, it's still, I thought it was just the way it was shot. I didn't I didn't see the actual meaning, the whole point behind it. So then when one of the bad guys got shot, and I was like, yes, great, now they're gonna, something is going on now the right way. And then he rewinded it, and obviously it didn't happen the second time around. I was like, okay, now like I said, now I started thinking a little harder about this. So that was the point. That was the point where it clicked. So
yeah, this isn't conventional. And it's so sad to me that a lot of the times the thought processes and the way that these films come out, they have to come out of another country or someone that's not plugged into Hollywood. You have to find someone who's actually allowed to do their own art, unmitigated by big producers.
Yes.
And that's where you find really good stories, really thought-provoking stuff. Yes, even those are few and far between because a lot of them are just way too up their own assholes. But stuff like this, which is, I think, a commentary specifically about what I just said about the Hollywood production. Like the producers that take over a story, and it's actually satire towards that. What do you think about that, or should I enumerate more before you speak?
Go ahead. Say a little. Tell us a little more about it.
Well, I just personally think that there's quite a few different instances throughout, and it runs throughout the film. Okay, the way it starts out, you can see references to The Shining, where it's just an overhead shot for a long time, with classical music.
Yeah.
You don't see the characters at first. It's like, okay, this is going to be one of those artistic films, right? And then whenever you get to the title screen, it goes into absolute balls off the wall hardcore music, just completely out of nowhere while the family's smiling. So you're like, what the heck am I getting into?
Yeah.
None of this makes any sense. And then everything seems pretty kosher. You start to pay attention to the characters, you see the dynamics. And then stuff starts getting weird. This dialogue starts getting stilted. Some things just seem to make no sense, so you can't really piece it together.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a little bit of a commentary on when a producer or a studio pays for the project to be made into a film. The director, the writers, the screenwriters, and everything like that, they all have their vision down, and then the studio comes in there and they start poking their fingers in the crap. And then by the time that the finished product is out there, it's completely different from what the original vision was. And we kind of see those kind of things yet throughout the film. And I know this is kind of like long-winded, and you have to have watched this movie to get where I'm hitting these parts of.
Yeah.
But you see how, well, it has to end up this way. So no matter what happens, no matter where the studio pokes their fingers into the story, and they do change it for seemingly ridiculous reasons, no matter what, we have to reach this one outcome. And
Right.
and just to fully encompass this by the end, the way that Naomi Watts' character is finally dispatched in the newer one,
Yeah.
the way that her character is finally dispatched, we're running out of time, aren't we? All right. Well, ciao, Bella.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally no pomp and circumstance with the way that she's killed.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're out of time. We got to move on to something else. And they just dump her over the edge, which I thought was, ooh, c'est magnifique. Ooh, I love this movie so much. And most of the violence is off screen. You see the aftermath. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Magda, what do you think about?
You
You definitely no, yeah.
by it.
I want to see what you had. Like, did you draw those parallels? Did you think about any of that at all, or
Well,
did you look at it only at face value, and then something was tweaking? I don't know. I don't want to lead your answer. So
well, it's it's interesting that you say it, because I didn't know what to expect when I went into this movie. Like I said, never seen either version of it. Never heard of the movie. It was, not too popular. I'm assuming, or not well advertised, because otherwise, I'm pretty sure I would come across it sooner or later. I mean, it's not a brand new movie. It's been around for a while, especially the first one, 1997 version. But so I didn't know what to expect. So I would just sit in front of the TV, turn it on, watch it. Of course, I noticed all those little elements, subtle elements that you talking about, and I thought it was absolutely well done. It was absolutely. I love the entry of the characters, the beginning of it, how they drive, how they play the little road game with the music, listen to classical music. You can tell they sophisticated. They higher upper class, and then the beginning or the title shows up, and then, like you said, you have this really, really screaming hardcore music come, and yet you're still looking at the characters, and they still in a serene mood. So I kind of, at that point, I thought, okay, so there is a little more to this movie than just what you see on the surface. So I started paying a little bit more attention. But I feel like it's one of those movies that, especially in my case, because I'm a slow learner, you kind of have to watch it maybe one or two more times to kind of get the full, extent of um, what the movie maker was trying to convey, or what was his motivation and message behind the movie. So I feel like to fully understand it, I would probably have to watch it again, and to actually notice some of the things that you were mentioning.
Did you notice a little bit more without me explaining my thoughts whenever we did a watch party together for the 2007 one with Naomi Watts, Tim Roth, and Michael Pitt as the main antagonist.
Yes.
We watched that one together. Now we watched the original one from 1997 in a different language separately.
Mm-hmm.
So did you see anything differently whenever you watched that one separately?
Well, I was kind of looking. I was kind of looking at it differently, because I don't know if you remember when we finished watching the newer one together. I asked you a couple questions. I kind of asked you, can you explain a couple things to me, because I'm not sure if I fully understand what's happening. So with that knowledge, I went into watching the second movie, the older one, and so I feel like I was kind of able to appreciate it more in that matter, or notice some of those things that I haven't watching the first one.
Gotcha. Okay. If you want to, you can expound on that. Which things did you notice? Which did maybe you still haven't quite grasped, but like there's something nagging, maybe?
Well, I think the composition of it a little bit, the technicalities and things that you mentioned earlier was a little bit more evident for me watching it second time around. How it starts pretty normal, and with just your traditional movie setting, and the dialogues between the characters, and then things starting to kind of shift, and the dialogues become weird, and just a little bit shifting towards what you mentioned before.
I always I don't want to lead you with the question, but I also this is kind of like a mind fuck. It's on so many levels. Some of which, and by the way, I just want to tell everybody I have not read any interviews. I specifically have not
haven't either.
read interviews
You can
from
tell.
the director and writer like Michelle Haneke.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into other people's reviews because I don't want it spoiled for me. I want to glean whatever I can, or interpret it for myself. So the things that I just told you, Mags, that's what I see whenever I watch the movie. That's the deeper meanings that I feel like are inherent in there. So if there is anything else, whether or not you saw that, even with me saying it, if you saw something different, please feel free, because I think this movie is freaking tailored for that kind of discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, one thing that I noticed that, and I don't know if I can say more about the deeper meanings. Like I said, I feel like this has to be rewatched a little bit more by me to be able to speak more on that. But one thing that I did notice was a little bit of differences between the two movies, and I think I pay more attention to how the actors play their roles. Let's say because I feel like because growing up with a lot of European movies, I can notice the differences. There's actually a difference in how the American and then European actors perform.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and there is a subtle differences also how the movies are shot otherwise, whether it's camera or the scenes are different. I feel like they are prolonged, and there is a lot of things that we would consider in our cinema here in the States like a boring or useless parts. That's one difference between the two styles. But we have the same director, so obviously there's like I can only speak on a way that the actors are performing, because that's something that I definitely noticed, that there are differences.
Yeah. So just so the audience knows, and I would highly recommend both,
Mm-hmm.
both because there are some stark differences, even though it's a shot for shot and line for line remake.
Right.
There are subtleties still between those differences, not only in the way that the actors speaking different languages. You have to be okay with subtitles in order to watch the original, because it is filmed
That's no
with German speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's not German. It's Austrian. Ah, my bad.
It's still
All right.
German.
Is it still German? Okay.
Yeah. They just speak in different like dialect, but it's still German.
Oh, all right. Well, either way, it's a language that you're not going to understand, but you will understand one part of it, 999.
Mm-hmm.
But for different reasons. That's because most of y'all have fucked up sense of humor, like I do. But he was like, wait. All right. Anywho, yes, I definitely would advise or just suggest that you watch both versions if you're actually into films and you like to see subtle nuances and appreciate what a good actor or actress is capable of, rather than just going to the gym, taking a bunch of steroids and ripping their shirt off and giving a little wink to the camera. A lot of women are into that. A lot of dudes are into Sydney Sweeney. I personally don't see the hype about that, but that's just me. I look for like things that are below the surface level.
Yeah.
So on that note, I do want to ask you, Mags. Well, so which of the main characters do you think did a better job in the old versus the new? Do you think some of them, the older one was better in certain spots, but then the newer one was better in other spots? Like, what do you think about the acting?
So definitely the main characters, or not, I shouldn't say the main characters, but the family, the mom, the Naomi Watts version was definitely better than her Austrian counterpart. Not in a way they performed. I just thought she fit better. Like she kind of looked better in that role. However, on the other side, the dad, I definitely prefer the foreign guy. Like, I don't even know what national. I mean, I'm assuming the Austrian or German or Swiss or whatever, because they were speaking German so well. But yeah, so the dad was definitely better. I gotta admit, the American dad was driving me crazy. How he was just, I don't know, he had no charisma. He had no, like, I would not want a husband like that. And like there was absolutely no life in him. No no willingness to fight for his family, or I don't know. He was like, he resigned to just dying from the very beginning. Like there was just I haven't seen that in him. The German guy, on the other hand, he definitely, yeah, he definitely portrayed that a little better, but still with the same outcome, of course. But he was a little bit more believable than the American guy. Um, and then of course the villains. I think both sets they did awesome. They were equally as psychopathic in both.
Okay. let's before we just go down the whole list. Let's like hold on. Let's have a conversation in between like sets and
Yes.
subsets at a time. This is no disrespect to the original mother. I think she did a fantastic job. However, I do agree with you that for the games that they're playing, and especially a certain one, which is parental advisory, they don't show anything. However, the mental anguish and torture will make women squeamish.
Mhm.
It's just absolutely fucking uncomfortable what they make this woman do.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think she did an amazing job as an actress, but for that game that they play, in order to make that scene happen, Naomi Watts definitely a better cast.
Mhm.
So I actually think that the original actress in the kitchen scene, where it's shown how the phone goes out, where they're basically introduced to our. Well, the other one is introduced to us by asking for eggs. Just give us some eggs.
Mhm.
I think the original actress acted that scene better than Naomi did, but I think that was the only scene in the film where Naomi didn't far outshine her.
Mhm.
And going to your point, yeah, Naomi looks better. Like, she's hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when they're talking about her physical looks, the other one, it just in my personal opinion, is not very attractive. Not very, obviously, all attraction is subjective, but not very classically attractive.
Right. And I feel like there is nothing wrong with that. I mean, both original actors were casted, I thought, beautifully. They did excellent job in in their acting. And they were just they were not like stunningly beautiful or handsome or anything, but they just basically portrayed your normal next door family. So that was nothing wrong with that. But I thought Naomi did a little bit of better job in certain scenes, and so overall, I preferred her in that role.
Yeah, and I want to come back to this like really soon. Just a little aside. I don't have much to say about Tim Roth. We agree on that completely. They had no charisma. I mean, they had no chemistry. It felt like they didn't have any chemistry.
Mm,
It felt like, I mean, Tim Roth is a great actor, but I
yeah.
don't think he was right for this role. I don't think he played the role correctly. The original one from the 1997 one, you actually felt like he can't fight back. He also looks older. He looks a little bit more, I wouldn't say decrepit, but a little bit more frail. And then when the thing happens to him and they just keep aggravating that horrible wound, because I mean, we don't need to go into specifics too much, but like when your knee gets taken out in that way and you're already in your older age and it's to the point where it's like bleeding, needs a splint, and they just keep stepping on it with young force. They just keep stomping on it. You can't move around on one leg whenever your knee is that. Well, there's a point where you do go into shock. I do believe that the original father actor portrayed that way better than Tim Roth did.
Yeah.
I think he was kind of just like phoning it in, or maybe it wasn't directed maybe in the best way. But going back to both actresses as far as how Naomi sold it, there's that one scene. It's about 14 minutes long, uncut. No cuts at all. right after the son is shot in the head.
Yeah.
And she is bound and gagged.
Mm-hmm.
And she is not only emoting and going through, like, she is portraying emotional anguish and torture the entire time while still showing the will to try to, if there's a chance.
Yeah.
Like, she literally struggles to stand up because when you're like this and then your ankles are bound together too, like, you're kind of weeble wobble.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you can like gain your balance. And I know it's probably easier for a woman because their center of balance is right around the torso, but even then, that is not easy for anybody, much less just your normal middle-aged housewife.
True.
And she struggles through that and makes it happen for 14 minutes uncut. No edits. You have to imagine how many times did they reshoot that scene. I mean, I imagine something like that, but she freaking nails it. Nobody breaks. Nobody moves. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a freaking perfect shot. She just real quick. She also lobbied that she wanted to do this movie. She co-produced it because
Oh, that's
she
right.
wanted to play that role. She wanted to put herself through that experience.
I can't imagine how taxing that can be. I mean, every time you are part of the movie that can be so emotionally draining, so real, and things, those things can happen to any of us. Um, it, like I always feel so, like applaud those actors, who can pull this off and really still be normal in the head after that. You know,
Mhm.
I know they're trained how to do it without getting affected, but you know,
That's debatable.
yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to say? Did you want to talk about the villains at
Those
all?
they were they were extremely disturbed. Those two, and like I said, they both the both sets did excellent job
Mhm.
portraying the psychos that they were. I mean, that scene at the beginning when and actually both movies, it was an excellent scene. It actually it pissed me off so much in both movies. The scene with the eggs that keep dropping the eggs. The eggs just get demolished, and she realizes that, okay, the whole encounter is just getting really bizarre, tells them to leave, and they not going anywhere, and they just kind of try to explain it, but just give us those eggs, we don't understand why you're being so rude, and it's like, just get the fuck out of my house. What don't you understand? And they're like, well, there's no need to be rude. I'm like, are you trying to teach me manners now, and you acting like a psychopath? So yeah, it
Yeah.
was it was a great scene. It was like one of my favorite in the movie.
Yeah, it really it sets you on edge, and you're just like, I almost can't tell if this is good writing, bad writing. I'm uneasy, and it's like that's the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Once you watch the rest, like once you sit through that, you're just like, the whole point is that this is just like tension and uneasiness, and what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
And then of course, it's I mean they use it in on the movie posters and the cover art and everything. This is how we know that we're playing games now. It's not just like some weird creeps. It's like, oh, we're in for a ride with games. It's just like, What do I have in my hand? Here.
Yeah.
Come on, you can answer. It's a golf ball. And why do I have this golf ball? The lady knows, but she doesn't want to say it. That's when the wave washes over her. She's like, oh my gosh, I should have used excessive force. I should have done something else. I should have screamed for help earlier before everyone, before other people became aware.
Yeah.
And he's like, because I didn't hit it. But I did love this driver. I must have tested it some other way.
Yeah.
And then obviously play the hot versus cold, finding the dead dog. Yes, there's a dead dog, and its body, when it slumps out, is sickening. It's a sickening thump.
Yeah, it is.
And they show it. They don't show they don't show any of the murders, by the way. They don't show any of the deaths. They show the aftermath.
Yep. Just the slumped body.
It's actually not. I don't even think it's rated R for language because there's only like 2 cuss words in it. They actually make a point to say, "Is like, can you please not use that cuss word in front of my family? Like, show some decorum." It's the psychological and mental torture that's going on the entire time. How disturbing it is. That's why it's R.
Yes, and the movie is playing mindfuck games with us. That's
Welcome to the horror genre, Magda. I'm glad you could join me. This is the kind of stuff I like.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, would you like to move into ratings or any final thoughts?
Let's move to ratings. I think we talked about a lot of good and bad stuff with those movies. So let's rate it.
You first.
No.
Ladies first, always. Hold on. Mind our P's and Q's. Don't be rude. Ladies go first.
Great.
Or would you like me to get out the duct tape and a golf ball?
No. No, this is exactly how that's gonna end. No. So do we rate them separately?
I would just say the film as a whole. Like, just treat them like this is the same thing. Like we're treating the story and the way that it's shot, because it is shot for shot, just like with different actors, like within a 10-year span.
So, okay, so that's gonna be nice and easy because, well, not nice and easy, but I feel like each movie did have a little deficit, but the overall story and how and I feel that each movie compensates for whatever the other one was lacking. So, like, if we can get rid of the parts, that were annoying in one of them, or annoying or just didn't make sense, or whatever was wrong with them, and kind of replace it from the same scene from the the other movie, it would be like perfect 9 for me. I don't want to give it a 10. I don't know when I'm gonna give it a 10, but I can't give it a 10 just yet.
I don't worry, I'm not giving it a 10 either.
Okay. Yeah, between both movies, it's a 9.
Now you made me think. If I were to take out like the 1 or 2 weak spots from like Naomi Watts' performance and put that other person in, and then just like have the newer remake with the older dad in there, then it probably would be a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
But based on my rating system, it is a very strong 8.
All right.
You will very rarely ever see me rate a movie 8 out of 10, much less than 9.
Yeah. No, for me, it was a 9. For me, it was a 9. Like I said, putting those movies together in my mind. So, yeah, good movie or movies.
You glad I forced you to watch it twice?
Well, there was no forcing involved. I did it in my own will. You don't really have to twist my arm, when it comes to horror movies. I'm open for all the suggestions, and so far, um, whatever you suggested, it really really worked out. So, yeah, looking forward to the next one.
I only suggest films that I would like to watch again. So,
Mhm.
I mean, we will disagree at some point, or probably a lot, but
Mhm.
I'm not gonna just like send you just some shitty movie
Mhm.
and be like, "Hey, you should watch this because I saw it one time. It absolutely sucked." Also, I'm not gonna watch it with you
I
because I
actually would
know you're
like
gonna hate it.
to to talk about the movie that you haven't seen yet.
We are getting to that, and
Mhm.
by the way, audience, we have been talking about amping this channel up with more horror stuff. We'll be hitting classics. We'll be going into more stuff that maybe a lot of you haven't seen, some like underground gems. We'll still be hitting the stuff like the crowd pleasers that everyone knows about, but maybe forgot about or they just haven't thought about in a while.
Mhm.
We're going to be all over the place because horror is, I can only speak for myself, horror movies are my passion. I freaking love them.
I agree. I agree. I love movies in general, but horror always is my favorite. If I am to choose what I'm watching, it always lands on horror. That's what that's where I go. So yeah, it will be. We'll have much more coming up.
Yeah, and there's quite a bit. Like, don't get me wrong. There's a bunch
Goodness.
of stuff that I've wanted to see and I've never made the time for.
Yeah.
Even
There's
stuff that I've watched reviews on, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna stop this review halfway through because it looks semi-interesting, but I want to watch it for myself.
yeah. Yeah. There is so many good horror movies that I feel like we can do it for next 10 years and don't run out.
Easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right, so I think this is gonna wrap us up for this one. Thank you all for coming in. I really suggest, Magda, I think you're along with me on this one. We both really suggest take a deep dive into funny games,
Oh yeah.
whichever one like fits the best for you. Such a freaking good movie and multi-layered.
I agree. I agree. And don't be shy. If you rather watch the European version over the American one, or American one over European, um, I recommend both equally. So whatever you choose, it's a right choice.
Heck yes. Can't wait to see more effed up shit. But until next time, this is Malty and Lady Medea, otherwise known as Mags, from the GCA. And in the quiet words of Michael Pitt, ciao, Bella.
You're not pushing me. Good. You fell off yourself. You good.
Bye, guys.
See you in the next one. Absolutely.
There it is.
Absolutely. I was trying to answer. Fuck! You're not fucking call. Stop. Okay, I'm freaking calling her. Because it's the funny game. Vermont hillbillies. Jeez.
Oh no.
I don't know.
What did I mention before?
I'm trying to.